Hello, I'm Hannah Kaplan, and this is the WCS Wild Audio Podcast, where you'll find reported audio stories covering the latest news and newsmakers from the Wildlife Conservation Society's Global Conservation Program, Zoos and Aquarium, and their many partners. We've got a great show today, so let's get to it.
Rangers are the frontline guardians of conservation efforts, regularly putting their physical and mental health at risk to protect our planet. But they can't do it alone. They need more support and resources to stay safe and effective in their vital work. That's where URSA, the Universal Ranger Support Alliance, which supports the International Ranger Federation and counts WCS among its members, steps in to ensure they get the backing they deserve. WCS Wild Audio's Hannah Kaplan reports.
At the height of the blaze, Yahaira Urbina, Maya Forest Corridor site manager at WCS Belize, recalls that just 4 rangers were working to contain forest fires raging across 30,000 acres of protected land. The task was both exhausting and dangerous.
They started fighting fire at 4 in the morning. We were working between 12 to 18 hours days. They are both physically and emotionally stretched because it's a very tense situation where decisions need to be made, and how we view it is a life and death situation.
Like rangers across the globe, Yahaira's small team spends week-long shifts at remote field stations, far from medical assistance, confronting threats from illegal loggers, dangerous wildlife, disease, and armed poachers.
They encounter the risk they take when they encounter a hunter, and engaging them and telling them, you shouldn't be here. Hunting shouldn't be here while you see somebody with a gun. Because one of the things within our rangers, they're not armed. These hunters would be armed, so they have to have that situational analysis done very quickly. You never know if you have a disgruntled hunter.
The sacrifices made by these frontline workers, explains Alexa Montefiore, WCS Associate Director of Strategy and Partnerships, are not only physical, but also mental and emotional.
Tragically, many rangers have lost their lives or been seriously injured in the line of duty. The mental health challenges, isolation from their families, the stress of operating in really high conflict areas.
As the newest chair of URSA, the Universal Ranger Support Alliance, Alexa champions rangers and protected and conserved areas through partnerships, calling rangers the planetary health workers of our time.
Rangers are really at the heart of conservation. They're really the guardians of biodiversity, of cultural heritage, of ecosystems, ensuring that protected and conserved areas are actually managed effectively. And they have a real vital role to play in addressing the crises that are affecting our planet: biodiversity loss, climate change, and zoonotic disease. They could do things from kind of the typical idea of patrolling a protected or conserved area, to managing wildlife populations, to engaging with local communities of which they might be a member of, to resolving human-wildlife conflict, ecotourism, or even running education programs, and that's just to name a few.
Despite the breadth of their responsibilities and the critical importance of their work, rangers still need more in terms of resources. Things like staffing, transportation, tech, and professional capacity building.
We say 30,000 acres, but we started with only 2 rangers. We have increased to 4 rangers, but still, when fire comes into play, 4 rangers, it's a lot for them.
I'd say rangers need everything: funding, resources, legal protection, recognition. They need fair pay. They need safe working environments. And there needs to be equality and equity. So they need to be more diverse and actually represent and reflect the communities that they serve.
So in 2019, rangers from over 70 countries met at the World Ranger Congress in Nepal to produce a declaration ensuring rangers receive the recognition, resources, and representation they deserve. Rohit Singh began his career as a ranger in India and Cambodia, now serving as WWF's Director of Protected and Conserved Area Governance and Management. He is a passionate advocate for rangers and a driving force behind the growth of the URSA agenda.
All of us, conservation NGOs, have been supporting, training rangers for years. Rangers have been seen as a welfare project. It's feeling pity about them and giving them extra t-shirts, extra boots, and trainings here and there. but there was no sort of focused intervention on reforming the workforce. It's a workforce that needs to be professionalized, that needs to be accountable, that needs to be representative. And as a first step, what we did is to understand what are the challenges. So once we got all that information, then we said, okay, we need to do it together. We need to work as conservation organizations together to advocate for the rights of rangers. We want more rangers. We want better equipped, better trained rangers, and also responsible rangers. We need adequate number of rangers, because you may have a best trained, best equipped, best behaved ranger, but there is one for 1,000 square kilometer, then it's not going to work.
Meeting global conservation targets requires an additional 1.5 million rangers, a workforce that must be diverse, inclusive of Indigenous peoples, local communities, and women, and backed by formal recognition and global standards.
So it's not going to be only about people in uniforms or rangers in boots. It's going to be about flip-flops as well. The number we need, 1.5 million rangers, and it's not going to happen overnight.
As ranger representation expands, URSA and conservation organizations are exploring innovative solutions to ease workloads. One notable example is the implementation of SMART, or Spatial Monitoring and Reporting Tool, which helps address staffing shortages by enabling rangers, often the first to observe changes in the ecosystem, to efficiently log data in real time.
When you don't have enough human resources, then you have to use your limited human resources in the right areas. And that's what SMART does. It's a tool that helps rangers to decide where they should invest their time more. With combination of SMART, you can use the limited resources you have in the right areas.
So rangers are good bush people. Put it in those terms. They know their wildlife. They know their trees. So it has enabled us to also get an idea of where they're seeing these key species. It has enabled us to start building like a database of what is happening in the corridor. What are the major threats? They're giving us that real-time information.
WCS supports a vast network of rangers who stand to directly benefit from these newly developed support systems.
Just the work that we are doing is fundamental to much of what URSA does as well, especially with our work employing rangers, working in sites around the world, and with our focus on training, on human rights, on working with Indigenous peoples and local communities, with the work we've been doing around mental health and support for rangers. Fundamental to what WCS does and ensuring wildlife and wild places are protected is protecting the rights and supporting rangers.
However, she acknowledges the challenges of conveying the critical, albeit less glamorous aspects of this work to potential funders.
From the funding side, I think what we need is our donors to understand that investing in conservation means investing in rangers. A lot of times people want a silver bullet, something new and innovative, AI that's going to fix everything. What people are less excited about are supporting salaries.
With a growing investment in rangers, the priority must be on truly recognizing and supporting the men and women who dedicate everything to safeguarding the landscapes that sustain us all.
Giving this opportunity for rangers to be recognized in the different areas internationally, I think that gives them a boost of morale.
We are finally seeing growing recognition of rangers and the important role that they play. We need to really build that public support and understanding and celebrate rangers as the frontline guardians of our planet. And I think without rangers, conservation on the ground just fundamentally would not be able to happen.
By supporting rangers, you're protecting your food sources, you're protecting your water sources, you're protecting, forests that provide you clean air. That's the narrative we should be talking about. What we have learned from COVID time is it's absolutely critical to maintain the balance between nature and people. And rangers are right there in terms of maintaining that balance.
Wildlife rangers stand as a critical force in safeguarding ecosystems, protecting biodiversity, and ensuring a healthy planet for generations to come. But to continue this vital work, they need greater support and resources to stay safe, effective, and resilient. To learn more about how you can support URSA and the incredible work of rangers worldwide, visit ursaforrangers.org and wcs.org. For WCS Wild Audio, I'm Hannah Kaplan.
Today's episode was produced and reported by Hannah Kaplan, with help from Dan Rosen and Nat Moss. The WCS Wild Audio podcast is a production of the Wildlife Conservation Society. Stay tuned for our next episode, and don't forget to rate, follow, or review the show wherever you get your podcasts.